In this video, we will be using the main tag, the section tag, and the article tag. Let's start with the main tag. You use the main tag for the main content of a document. Going back to our HTML code, let's go ahead and add a main section. We'll put the opening main tag right after the closing header tag and place the closing main tag right before the opening footer tag. What I just did then is I nested all of these different elements inside the main container. And to help me see at a glance what's going on, to help me see how things are nested, I want to fix, and you will want to fix, your indentation, your white space. Depending on what you're using, it could be that you have to go line by line to do so. Or if you're using Dreamweaver like I am, it would be just a matter of selecting all that, clicking on tab, and that will fix my indentation. But again, if yours does not have that feature, then you might have to just go line by line like this. Let me go ahead and fix that. Now I can see that all these different elements are nested inside main. First thing I'll add inside my main container, since we don't have one, is an h1 element. By opening and closing h1 tags right after the opening main tag, we'll call this semantics. As the h1 element, this one is supposed to be the main idea for this page. We'll add a paragraph to describe main. You can use this for your notes. Main is used to display the main content of the page. It is distinct from the header and the footer. Here's the header section that has introduction information, navigation, and such things. Here's the footer with information like copyright and other important information. And the part that people will look at to gather information will be the main section. This is what I mean by the main section being distinct from the header and the footer. So as you're creating your pages, you will want to use the correct semantic tags to give more meaning to the content within those tags. The next portion or tag that I want to add would be a section tag. A section tag is used to contain anything that relates thematically. As an analogy, think about a newspaper. A newspaper will have different sections that relate thematically. You will have a sports section, maybe an entertainment section, classifieds, and so on. All of those things in there within the section relate thematically. And then within each section, you will have various articles. For example, in the sports section, you might have an article about this sports event or about that sports team. That, as an article, is something that can stand alone as a body of work. You can read an article or look at an article, and you will get complete information that way. Looking at our code here, I don't really have very many sections. You can think of H2, this hyperlinks all the way to the final note, as one section. we'll just keep it simple then. We'll just do one section. We'll put the opening section tag right before the H2 hyperlinks, and we'll put the closing section tag right before the closing main tag. Now, all of these different elements, not including the H1 and the paragraph after that, not including those are all nested within the section container. And just like before, when I indented everything within main, when I added the main tags, I want to do the same thing for section. That way it's easier for me to see that there are elements nested within section. Just like before, you might have to do this line by line, or if you're using Dreamweaver like I am, it's just a matter of selecting all that and clicking on tab. Whatever the case may be, just make sure that I can see with white space that these elements are nested within section. Finally, let's add several article tags here. You can think of hyperlinks all the way to this portion right here, the closing H6. You can think of that as the hyperlinks article. So we'll put that in one article. And then the next portion, H2, about unordered lists, that could be an article. Ordered lists can be an article. And then finally, final note can be an article. I'll go ahead and start adding those various opening and closing article tags. First article, there's my opening article tag, and put your closing article tag right before the next H2 element. We'll fix our indentation here so you can see that all these elements are nested inside this article tag. I'll add my next article tag. Next one. Last article for final notes. Now you can see at a glance how different elements are nested within this HTML document. I can see that there are several articles inside this particular section, and for each article I can see that they have various elements nested within them. So this concludes everything that I want to talk about from chapter 2 text. Next thing we'll do in the next video is we'll get started with the CSS. Yay! Now we're going to give this page some style. We'll give it some information to go off on so that it can start looking more like a web page, or we'll try. It's still a sample web page after all, but at least it won't just be so plain like this. We'll start doing different things. We'll keep it simple since we are just getting started with CSS. And that's going to be from chapter 10 in the textbook.